In the year 2147, humanity had reached new heights. People no longer lived only on Earth. They had built colonies on distant planets and moons. These colonies were connected by advanced ships that traveled between stars. The Interstellar Council was the group in charge of keeping everything running smoothly. Their job was to make sure Earth's interests were protected as humans explored space. But not everything was as it seemed. Daniel Carter, a reporter living on Mars Colony Alpha, started noticing strange things. He heard whispers about secret deals between the Council and an alien race called the Valith. The Valith were known for being dangerous. They often took over other species' planets and used their resources. Many people feared them, but the Council had always claimed to keep them at bay through careful diplomacy. One day, Daniel got his hands on some documents. They were hidden deep within the Council's secure network. What he found shocked him. The files revealed that several high-ranking Council members had secretly met with the Valith. In exchange for powerful technology and personal wealth, they promised to give up control of 3 human colonies. It was a betrayal so big that it could destroy humanity's trust in its leaders forever. Daniel knew he had to tell someone. He thought about going public right away, but he realized he needed proof. Without solid evidence, no one would believe him. So he decided to reach out to Rachel Monroe, a young council member who had always spoken out against corruption. If anyone would understand the seriousness of the situation, it would be her. Rachel listened carefully when Daniel contacted her. She didn't seem surprised, which worried him. "I've suspected something like this for months," she admitted, "but I couldn't find any proof. If you're telling the truth, we have to act fast." Together, they planned to gather more evidence and expose the Council's treachery. But their plan hit a snag almost immediately. When Rachel tried to send Daniel additional files from inside the Council's database, her transmission was intercepted. Suddenly, guards appeared at her door. She managed to escape through a hidden passage, but she knew she couldn't go back. Her face was all over the news the next day, labeled as a traitor. The Council claimed she had stolen classified information and fled. Without Rachel, Daniel felt alone. He didn't know who to trust anymore. Still, he refused to give up. He began piecing together the story bit by bit, using the documents he already had. As he worked, he noticed something even more alarming. The colonies mentioned in the deal, the ones the Council promised to hand over, were located near important supply routes. Giving them up would leave millions of humans vulnerable to attack. Then, disaster struck. Months after the secret agreement, the Valith launched a brutal invasion. They attacked without warning, targeting the very colonies named in the Council's deal. Ships descended from the sky, firing weapons that tore through defenses like paper. Entire cities were destroyed. Survivors were rounded up and taken away. No one knew where they were being sent or if they would ever come back. On Earth, Alex Bennett watched the chaos unfold on the news. A retired military strategist, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Why would the Valith suddenly turn so aggressive? And why did the Council seem so unprepared to fight back? Alex decided to investigate further. His search eventually led him to Daniel Carter. When they met, Daniel showed him the stolen files. For the first time, Alex understood the full scope of what had happened. The Council hadn't just failed humanity. They had sold it out. Now, everyone would pay the price. As the reality sank in, Alex realized there was only one thing left to do: stop the Council before they could cause even more damage. But doing so wouldn't be easy. The Council still held immense power, and exposing their crimes would put both him and Daniel in grave danger. Despite the risks, Alex knew they had no choice. Humanity's survival depended on it. The invasion by the Valith was swift and merciless. Within days, 3 of humanity's most important colonies were under attack. The first to fall was New Horizons Station, a bustling hub near Proxima Centauri. Ships descended from the sky, firing beams of energy that tore through buildings and defenses alike. Panic spread as people tried to flee, but there was nowhere safe to go. The Valeth showed no mercy. They captured survivors, herding them onto massive transport ships like cattle. No one knew where they were being taken or what would happen to them. Back on Earth, Alex Bennett watched the chaos unfold on his screen. A retired military strategist, he had spent years studying tactics and warfare, but nothing could have prepared him for this. The Valeth weren't just attacking, they were dismantling entire colonies with frightening efficiency. What troubled Alex most was the lack of resistance. Where were the Council's promised reinforcements? Why wasn't anyone fighting back? Determined to find answers, Alex began digging deeper. He reached out to old contacts in the military and scoured public forums for information. That's when he came across Daniel Carter's name. Daniel was a journalist based on Mars Colony Alpha, known for his investigative work. Alex sent him a message, hoping he might know something about the invasion. To his surprise, Daniel responded almost immediately. The two arranged to meet in secret at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Chicago. When they finally came face to face, Daniel didn't waste time with pleasantries. He handed Alex a data chip containing classified documents. "This will explain everything," Daniel said grimly. As Alex reviewed the files, his blood ran cold. The documents revealed that the Interstellar Council had secretly negotiated with the Valeth. In exchange for advanced technology and personal wealth, several council members agreed to hand over control of key colonies. The invasion wasn't random. It was planned. Humanity had been betrayed by its own leaders. Alex couldn't believe what he was reading. How could they do this? He muttered, shaking his head. Daniel sighed heavily. "Greed," he replied. "They thought they could get away with it. But now millions of lives are at stake." Alex knew they had to act fast. If word got out about the Council's treachery, it could spark rebellion. But they needed help. Daniel suggested reaching out to Emily Dawson, a brilliant engineer working on the orbital defense platform Eclipse *. Emily had access to critical systems and might be able to assist them in exposing the truth. When Alex contacted Emily, she was hesitant at first. She didn't want to risk her life or her career. But when Alex explained the situation and showed her Rachel Monroe's stolen files, she agreed to join their cause. Rachel, a former council member who had gone into hiding, provided crucial details about the council's inner workings. Her insights helped the group plan their next move. Meanwhile, the Valeth continued their rampage. Refugees poured into Earth's cities, fleeing the destruction. Food and resources grew scarce, and tensions escalated. People demanded answers, but the council remained silent. Their silence only fueled suspicion. Rumors of betrayal began to spread, though no one had concrete proof. Yet, Alex, Daniel, and Emily worked tirelessly, pooling their skills to uncover more evidence. They hacked into secure networks, intercepted communications, and pieced together the full extent of the Council's conspiracy. Each new discovery filled them with anger and determination. They knew they had to expose the truth, no matter the cost. One night, while reviewing surveillance footage, Emily noticed something strange. Several council members had been spotted boarding private shuttles shortly before the invasion began. It seemed they had fled Earth, leaving the rest of humanity to face the consequences of their actions. This revelation confirmed what Alex and Daniel already suspected. The Council had not only betrayed humanity, they had abandoned it. As the days passed, the weight of the situation bore down on them. The Valeth were growing stronger, and time was running out. Alex realized they couldn't fight this battle alone. They needed allies, people willing to stand up against the Council and fight for humanity's survival. With renewed resolve, he turned to Daniel and Emily. "We need to start building a resistance," he said firmly. "If we don't, no one will." For the first time since the invasion began, there was a glimmer of hope. Together, they vowed to take down the corrupt Council and reclaim humanity's future, even if it meant risking everything. With the evidence of the Council's betrayal now undeniable, Alex, Daniel, and Emily knew they had to act quickly. The Veilith were advancing, and the Council's silence only deepened the chaos spreading across Earth and the colonies. Refugees crowded into cities, food supplies dwindled, and fear gripped humanity. People needed hope, and someone to lead them. Alex took charge, using his military experience to organize their growing group. They called themselves the Resistance. At first, it was just the three of them. Alex, the strategist; Daniel, the journalist with access to critical information; and Emily, the engineer who could hack into almost any system. But as word spread about what they were doing, others began to join. Former soldiers, disillusioned workers, and even rogue scientists reached out, eager to fight back against both the Council and the Veilith. One of the first major breakthroughs came when Rachel Monroe reappeared. After faking her death to escape the Council, she had been hiding in an abandoned mining station on one of Jupiter's moons. She contacted Alex and Daniel through a secure channel, offering her help. Rachel had intimate knowledge of the Council's operations and knew where their weak points were. Her return gave the Resistance a huge advantage. Together, the group began planning their next steps. Their first goal was to expose the Council's crimes to the public. If people knew the truth, they would turn against the Council and demand justice. But getting the message out wouldn't be easy. The Council controlled most communication channels, and anyone caught spreading dissent faced arrest, or worse. Emily suggested targeting the Council's main communication hub in Geneva. It was heavily guarded, but if they could breach its defenses, they could broadcast the stolen files directly to every screen on Earth and the colonies. Alex agreed it was worth the risk. He started recruiting volunteers for the mission, knowing it would be dangerous. Many stepped forward, willing to sacrifice everything for the cause. As the Resistance prepared for the attack, tensions ran high. Supplies were limited, and morale sometimes wavered. But Rachel kept everyone focused. She reminded them why they were fighting, not just to punish the Council, but to save humanity from destruction. Her words inspired even the most doubtful members of the group. The night of the raid arrived. Under cover of darkness, the team moved toward the communication hub. Alex led the ground forces while Emily coordinated the tech side of the operation from a safe distance. Daniel stayed behind to document everything, ensuring the world would see the Council's crimes. Breaking into the facility was harder than they expected. Guards patrolled every corridor, and security systems were everywhere. But Rachel's knowledge of the building's layout proved invaluable. She guided the team through hidden passages and disabled key alarms, allowing them to reach the control room undetected. Inside, Emily worked quickly to upload the stolen files onto the Council's network. As the data transferred, alarms blared, and guards rushed toward their location. A fierce firefight broke out. The Resistance fought valiantly, holding off the guards long enough for Emily to finish the upload. Just as the last file was sent, Emily realized something was wrong. A secondary security system had activated, locking down the entire building. If they didn't disable it, they'd be trapped. Without hesitation, she volunteered to stay behind and manually override the system. "Get out of here," she told Alex and the others. "I'll hold them off." Her sacrifice allowed the rest of the team to escape. As they fled the facility, the stolen files began broadcasting across the globe. Screens flickered to life, showing damning evidence of the Council's treachery. People watched in shock as the truth unfolded. Protests erupted almost instantly, and calls for the Council's resignation echoed from every corner of human space. Though Emily's fate remained unknown, her bravery became a symbol of the Resistance. With the Council exposed, humanity finally had a chance to unite and fight back against the Veilith. The broadcast of the Council's crimes sent shockwaves through humanity. For days, protests erupted across Earth and the colonies. People took to the streets, demanding justice. The once powerful Council members scrambled to defend themselves, but their lies crumbled under the weight of undeniable evidence. Some tried to flee, boarding private shuttles in the dead of night. Others barricaded themselves in underground bunkers, hoping to wait out the storm. But the resistance wasn't done with them yet. Alex Bennett knew that exposing the council was only the first step. While the world turned against their leaders, the Valeth continued their relentless assault on human colonies. Refugees streamed into Earth's cities, bringing stories of destruction and terror. The invaders showed no mercy, enslaving survivors and stripping planets of their resources. Humanity needed more than anger. It needed a plan to fight back. Rachel Monroe played a key role in shaping that plan. Using her knowledge of the Council's operations, she identified weak points in the Valeth strategy. "They're overconfident," she explained during a meeting with Alex and Daniel. "They think we're too divided to resist. If we hit them hard and fast, we can catch them off guard." Her words gave the resistance hope, but they also highlighted the dangers ahead. One of Rachel's suggestions was to target New Horizons Station, one of the first colonies attacked by the Valeth. Though it lay in ruins, the station still held valuable resources the aliens hadn't fully exploited. By retaking it, the resistance could send a message. Humanity would not go down without a fight. Alex agreed, but he knew it wouldn't be easy. The Valeth had fortified the station, turning it into a stronghold. To prepare for the mission, the resistance began recruiting heavily. Survivors from the invaded colonies joined their ranks, eager to reclaim their homes. Among them was Sarah Hayes, a medic who had lost her family during the initial attack. She brought both skill and determination to the team, quickly earning Alex's trust. Together, they trained new recruits in guerrilla tactics, teaching them how to strike quickly and disappear before the enemy could retaliate. Meanwhile, Emily Dawson's sacrifice inspired others to step up. Engineers worked around the clock to build weapons capable of piercing the Valeth's advanced shields. One breakthrough came when Daniel discovered blueprints for an experimental energy weapon buried in the Council's files. With some modifications, the team believed they could turn it into a powerful tool against the invaders. As preparations continued, tensions within the resistance grew. Supplies were running low and morale wavered. Some questioned whether they could truly stand against the Valeth. Alex addressed these doubts head-on. "We've already proven we can beat the Council," he reminded everyone. "If we work together, we can do this. We have to." Finally, the day of the assault arrived. Under cover of darkness, the resistance launched a daring raid on New Horizons Station. Alex led the ground forces while Daniel coordinated communications from a nearby ship. Rachel guided the team through the station's ruins, helping them avoid traps set by the Valeth. The battle was fierce. The invaders fought back with overwhelming firepower, but the resistance's training paid off. They struck quickly, hitting key targets and forcing the Valeth to retreat. Sarah played a crucial role during the fight. When a squad of resistance fighters was pinned down by enemy fire, she braved the chaos to drag them to safety. Her bravery saved lives and boosted morale. Slowly but surely, the resistance pushed the Valeth out of the station. By dawn, New Horizons Station was back in human hands. The victory was small but significant. It proved that the Valeth could be beaten, and gave humanity a much-needed boost of confidence. As Alex stood amidst the wreckage, watching his team celebrate, he felt a flicker of hope. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but for the first time, it seemed possible to imagine a future free from fear. The resistance had begun to turn the tide. Now, they just had to keep fighting. The victory at New Horizons Station gave the resistance a surge of confidence, but Alex knew it was only the beginning. The Valeth still controlled most of the invaded colonies, and their forces were far from defeated. To truly turn the tide, humanity needed more than courage. They needed allies. Rachel Monroe had an idea. During her time on the Council, she had heard rumors of a faction within the Valeth called the Caliph. Unlike their brutal leaders, the Caliph opposed the invasion of human space. They believed in peaceful coexistence rather than conquest. If the resistance could make contact with them, they might find unexpected support. Tracking down the Caliph wasn't easy. The alien dissidents operated in secret, fearing punishment from their own kind. But Rachel remembered a name. Zorath, a Caliph leader who had once tried to negotiate peace with the Council. Using encrypted channels, the Resistance sent out a message, hoping it would reach him. Weeks passed without a response. Just as hope began to fade, Zorath replied. He agreed to meet, but only if Alex came alone. It was a risky proposition, but Alex didn't hesitate. If this works, he told Sarah, it could change everything. The meeting took place on a remote moon, far from both human and Vylith territory. Zorath appeared as a towering figure clad in shimmering armor, his presence both intimidating and regal. Through a translator device, he explained his people's plight. The Caliph had long been oppressed by their rulers, forced to follow orders they despised. Many wanted to rebel, but lacked the means to fight back. Alex laid out the Resistance's plan, a coordinated attack on the Vylith command ship orbiting Jupiter. If they could destroy it, the invaders' ability to coordinate their forces would collapse. Zorath listened carefully before agreeing to help. In return, he asked for asylum for the Caliph once the war ended. Alex promised to honor the request. With the Caliph's support, the Resistance began preparing for the final battle. Engineers worked tirelessly to upgrade their weapons, incorporating technology provided by Zorath. The Caliph also shared intelligence about the command ship's defenses, giving the Resistance a critical edge. As the days passed, Daniel documented the growing alliance, ensuring the world would see that not all aliens were enemies. His reports helped ease fears among humans and strengthened the bond between the Resistance and the Caliph. Meanwhile, Sarah trained medics to handle casualties during the upcoming assault, knowing the fight would be bloody. The night before the attack, Alex gathered the team for a final briefing. "This is it," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've come so far, and now we have a chance to end this. But I won't lie, it's going to be dangerous. Some of us may not make it back." He paused, looking around at the determined faces. "But if we succeed, we'll give humanity a future worth fighting for." Daniel volunteered for the most dangerous task, piloting a small ship loaded with explosives directly into the command ship's core. It was a suicide mission, but someone had to do it. "I've always written about heroes," he said with a wry smile. "Maybe it's time I became one." On the day of the battle, the Resistance launched its assault. Alex led ground forces in a diversionary attack on Ganymede base, drawing enemy reinforcements away from the command ship. At the same time, Daniel and a squad of Caliph fighters raced toward their target. The Vylith scrambled to respond, caught off guard by the dual-pronged strategy. Despite heavy losses, the plan worked. Daniel managed to breach the command ship's defenses and detonate the explosives, sending shockwaves through the Vylith fleet. As their leadership crumbled, the invaders began retreating, abandoning their hold on human colonies. Back on Ganymede, Alex watched the Vylith ships flee. Exhausted but triumphant, he turned to Sarah. "We did it," he said softly. For the first time in months, there was hope, not just for survival, but for peace. The destruction of the Vylith command ship marked a turning point in the war. Without their central leadership, the invaders' forces fell into disarray. One by one, they began retreating from human colonies, leaving behind ruins and scars, but no longer posing an immediate threat. The Resistance had won a major victory, but the cost was high. Many lives had been lost, and entire worlds lay in ruins. Now it was time to rebuild, and to hold those responsible for the betrayal accountable. On Earth, the remnants of the Interstellar Council were rounded up. Some had already fled, disappearing into the shadows, but most were captured by angry mobs or arrested by what remained of Earth's law enforcement. Trials were held in a makeshift courtroom in Geneva, where the council members faced charges of treason, corruption, and crimes against humanity. The evidence against them was overwhelming. Stolen files, intercepted communications, and testimonies from survivors of the invasion. Rachel Monroe played a key role in the proceedings. Having once been part of the council herself, she knew how to navigate its inner workings and expose its darkest secrets. Her testimony revealed not only the betrayal with the Vailith, but also years of greed and abuse of power. The public watched the trials closely, their anger palpable. In the end, many council members were sentenced to life imprisonment, while others chose to take their own lives rather than face justice. As the dust settled, a new democratic assembly took the council's place. This time, representatives were chosen directly by the people, with strict rules to prevent corruption. Rachel became one of the first elected leaders, vowing to ensure that such a betrayal could never happen again. She worked tirelessly to enact reforms, focusing on transparency, accountability, and unity among the colonies. Meanwhile, Alex and Sarah returned to quieter lives. After months of constant fighting, they both needed time to heal. They settled on a small moon colony far from the chaos of Earth, where they found solace in each other's company. Though scared by the horrors they had witnessed, they remained hopeful for the future. Together, they planted crops, built a home, and dreamed of a better world. The alliance with the Caliph proved invaluable in the rebuilding process. Zoreth and his followers provided technical knowledge and resources, helping repair damaged infrastructure and restore communication networks. In return, the resistance honored their promise, granting asylum to the Caliph. For the first time, humans and aliens worked side by side, forging a fragile but genuine peace. Daniel Carter stayed busy documenting the aftermath of the war. His reports highlighted stories of resilience and hope, showing the world that even in the darkest times, humanity could come together. He often visited Emily Dawson's memorial, which had been erected near the site of her sacrifice. Though she had given her life to disable the security system during the raid on the Council's headquarters, her bravery had inspired countless others to join the fight. Slowly but surely, life began to return to normal, or as close to normal as possible after such devastation. Refugees started returning to their homes, rebuilding cities and communities. Schools reopened, farms were replanted, and children played under the stars once more. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. One evening, as Alex and Sarah sat outside their home watching the sky, Alex spoke softly. "Do you think we'll ever really recover from all this?" Sarah smiled faintly. "Maybe not completely," she said. "But we've got something now that we didn't have before. Hope. And that's enough to keep going." Far away, Rachel stood on a balcony overlooking Earth. The planet below was battered but beautiful, a reminder of everything humanity had fought for. She felt a deep sense of responsibility, but also pride. Against all odds, they had survived, and they had changed. The road ahead would be long, but for the first time in years, it seemed possible to imagine a brighter future. Humanity had paid a heavy price, but it had emerged stronger, and as the stars twinkled above, there was a quiet promise in the air. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Years passed since the fall of the Vailith and the exposure of the Council's betrayal. Humanity had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The scars of war were still visible: abandoned cities, ruined colonies, and memorials for those who had been lost. But there was also a sense of renewal. People worked together like never before, driven by a shared determination to rebuild and ensure that such a disaster would never happen again. Alex Bennett and Sarah Hayes continued to live on their quiet moon colony, far from the political turmoil of Earth. They had built a simple life for themselves, growing food, raising animals, and helping neighbors recover from the war. Though they rarely spoke about the past, the memories lingered. Sometimes at night, Alex would look up at the stars and wonder how close humanity had come to destruction. But then he'd glance at Sarah, see the warmth in her eyes, and feel grateful for the second chance they had been given. Rachel Monroe remained deeply involved in shaping the new Democratic Assembly. Her leadership helped steer humanity through its most difficult years, ensuring that resources were distributed fairly and that everyone had a voice. She pushed for policies that promoted unity among the colonies, knowing that division had nearly doomed them once. Under her guidance, humanity began exploring space again, not as conquerors, but as explorers seeking peaceful coexistence with other species. The Caliph played a vital role in this new era. Zorath and his followers became ambassadors for their people, working alongside humans to foster understanding between their races. Together, they developed technologies that allowed both species to thrive without exploiting each other's resources. Trade routes reopened, cultural exchanges flourished, and trust slowly grew. For the first time, humanity realized it wasn't alone in the universe, and that survival depended on cooperation rather than conflict. Daniel Carter spent his later years traveling across human space, documenting the changes taking place. His stories captured moments of hope. Families returning to their homelands, children laughing in rebuilt schools, and farmers tending fields where ashes once lay. He often visited Emily Dawson's memorial, leaving flowers as a tribute to her sacrifice. Her bravery had inspired so many, including him, and he wanted future generations to remember her name. As decades went by, the lessons of the war became part of humanity's collective memory. Schools taught students about the Council's treachery and the bravery of the resistance. Monuments were erected not just for heroes like Emily, but also for ordinary people who had fought to protect their homes. These reminders served as warnings against greed and division, urging humanity to stay united. One day, Alex and Sarah received an invitation to attend a special ceremony on Earth. It marked the 50th anniversary of the war's end and celebrated 50 years of peace with the Caliph. Though hesitant at first, they decided to go, curious to see how much the world had changed. The ceremony took place in a massive dome overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. Leaders from every colony gathered, along with representatives from the Caliph. Rachel, now older but still full of energy, gave a speech that brought tears to many eyes. "We are here today because we chose to rise above our mistakes," she said, "because we refuse to let fear divide us. Let this be a reminder that even in our darkest hour, we found light." Afterward, Alex stood outside, gazing at the horizon. Sarah joined him, slipping her hand into his. "Do you think we'll keep learning?" she asked softly. Alex nodded. "I think we have to," he replied. "It's what keeps us moving forward." Above them, the stars shone brightly, symbols of endless possibilities. Humanity had faced its greatest trial and emerged stronger. Now, as it looked toward the future, there was a quiet promise in the air. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together.